This week's parasha sets up a remarkably simple paradigm. If you do X, then Y will occur. Cause leads to effect. If you follow my laws, Hashem says, and you observe my commandments, then great things will happen. Im Bechukotai telechu, ve'et mitzvotai tishmoru va'asitem otam, then rain will fall at the right time, so earth will yield the produce and the trees of the field will yield their fruit. V'natati gishmechem bi'itam. V'natna ha'aretz yivula ve'etz hasadeh yitain piryo. And Hashem then promises to give peace to the land and there won't be any trouble. V'natati shalom ba'aretz u'shechavtem ve'ein macharid. And if bad guys come, they will fall to our sword. U'redavtem et oivechem v'naflu lifnechem lecharev. Hashem will always be with us, and we will be His people. V'hithalachti b'tochachem, v'hayiti lachem le'elokim, v'atem tiyu li la'am. That's the good version. And the opposite also holds true. If we don't keep the laws, and this is the part we whisper, that's our minhag, terrible things will happen. In Neil Simon's Brighton Beach Memoirs, the playwright has a whole vort on why Jews whisper the names of terrible diseases. He says that we do this because we're afraid that if Hashem hears us saying these names, He will point His finger down and smite us with those diseases. I actually think this minhag of whispering, this part of the Kriya, is to get people to pay closer attention, because when someone whispers, you kind of lean in to hear what they're saying. But the Parsha, in any event, speaks from a simpler time, when cause and effect seems to have been much more clearly identifiable. Today, people tend to see cause and effect through their own lenses. To one person, terrible forest fires and tornadoes, for example, are a direct result of climate change, and to another, they are a result of forest floors not being adequately swept, or bad luck, or what the Farmer's Almanac predicted. Pirkei Avot offers a worldview that makes sense if you adopt this paradigm of cause and effect. The Mishnah tells us that there are 4 types of people. Arba midot ba'adam. One who says, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. Shali, shali, v'shelcha shali. That's a rasha. That person is selfish and evil. One who says, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. Shali, shelcha, v'shelcha shelcha. That person's a chassid. That person is a truly righteous person. They're giving, they're kind. But what about someone who looks out for themselves, who takes care of their own, and lets others worry about the others? Shali, shali, v'shelcha, shelcha. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. This makes sense to live one's life. The Mishnah even considers this briefly as a middle way of behaving, a midah beinonit. But it isn't really a recipe for success. Rav Lichtenstein famously ascribed to Victorian critic Matthew Arnold's view of literature. Arnold said, literature is educative, and it should be a pursuit of our total perfection by means of getting to know on all the matters which most concern us, the best which has been thought and said in the world, and through this knowledge, turning a stream of fresh and free thought upon our stock notions and habits. Rav Lichtenstein encouraged us to read anything and everything, but the rumor in yeshiva always was that Rav Lichtenstein forbade his students from reading one author, Ayn Rand, which of course made everybody rush to read her work. Rand, who was born Elisa Zinovyevna Rosenbaum to a Jewish family in St. Petersburg, was the mother of what is called objectivism, a philosophy that had at its core the concept of man as a heroic being with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life. Rand said, the individual should, quote, exist for his own sake, neither sacrificing himself to others, nor sacrificing others to himself. The Mishnah doesn't only call this a midah beinonit, a middle ground. Yesh omrim, there are those that say, it continues, that this is midat Sodom. This is the way people of Sodom behave. The people of Sodom did not have a happy ending. They each only cared for themselves, to the point where Lot was mocked, and worse, much worse, for offering hospitality to strangers. While something may seem utilitarian to us in the moment, shali, shali, I'll take care of myself, my people, my concerns, my assets, my interests, my family, what the Mishnah tells us is that ultimately, this will not end well. It will end in fire and in brimstone. And this is too perfect an analogy not to mention that climate change is actually real, and we really do need to do something about it if we don't want things to end in too much heat. I'm not sure about brimstone, but fire is definitely a possibility. In this example, if we just act for ourselves now, we will hurt our descendants who will need to pick up our pieces. So we need to think and do beyond ourselves. But there's hope offered in the parasha as well. After the tochacha, after the long list of terrible punishments that will befall us if we don't do mitzvot, Hashem makes a promise. Af gamzot bihiyotam be'eretz oivehem. Yet even then, when they are in the land of their enemies, lo me'astim v'lo ge'altim l'chalotam lahafer briti itam. I will not reject them, Hashem says, or spurn them to destroy them, to annul my brit, my covenant with them. V'zacharti lahem brit rishonim asher hotzeti otam me'eretz Mitzrayim le'enei hagoyim. And I will remember that covenant, that brit with the original ones, whom I took out of Egypt, in the sight of all the nations. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs writes that this verse, this pasuk, is the birth of hope. Despite the horrors of these punishments, Hashem promises that He will not forget and that He will always save us. This is very encouraging. This, I dare say, is what happened on June 5th, 1967, which we are almost up to the anniversary of, when the Egyptian Air Force was neutralized on the ground in a series of nisim gluyim, and series of open miracles, which brought about the reunification of Yerushalayim later that day. Hashem remembers us. It's easy and natural in times when the civility of discourse seems to have eroded beyond repair. And just looking at the political scene in Israel and in America in recent days, it's easy to just throw our hands in the air and to circle the wagons and to think only about our own, about ourselves, about our families, about our communities, but we should not and we cannot. Indeed, I think we know the lesson of Midat Stone already. In America, in 2 weeks, we're going to celebrate Memorial Day. And if every veteran who we will honor on Memorial Day chose to take care of his or her own interests in bodily health, we would live in a vastly different world. But they did not do that, and thank God we live in a world of frequent chesed, not a world of Midat Sodom. As we look ahead to Shavuot in a few weeks, in the summer, when time seems to stretch out a little longer, what opportunities can we find to think beyond ourselves and give to others? Shabbat Shalom.